The NFL has given us legends, players who changed the game, left their mark, and became immortal in football history. But some of those icons were taken from us far too soon. They weren't just Hall of Famers, they were warriors, leaders, and an inspiration to millions. And while their time was cut short, their impact will never fade. These are the NFL greats who left too soon, and the legacies they left behind. Derrick Thomas. Few players in NFL history embodied pure pass rushing dominance quite like Derrick Thomas. A once-in-a-generation talent, Thomas redefined what it meant to be a pass-rushing outside linebacker, striking fear into quarterbacks with his explosive first step and relentless pursuit. He was a leader, a game wrecker, and the heart of the Kansas City Chiefs defense for over a decade. But just as he seemed destined to leave an even greater mark on the game, his time was tragically cut short. Thomas's journey to NFL greatness began at the University of Alabama, where he built a reputation as an unstoppable defensive force. His senior year was nothing short of legendary. He recorded 27 sacks, an Alabama record that still stands today. That level of production made him a no-brainer selection for the Chiefs with the 4th overall pick in the 1989 NFL Draft, after which Thomas became an immediate difference maker. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year and quickly became the foundation of Kansas City's defense. His ability to close in on quarterbacks with a lightning-fast burst was unmatched. Offensive linemen had no answer for his combination of speed, power, and instincts. Thomas's defining moment came on November 11, 1990. That day, he set an NFL record by sacking Seahawks quarterback Dave Krieg 7 times. It was the ultimate showcase of his rare ability to completely take over a game on his own in a way that hadn't been done since Lawrence Taylor's prime. Beyond individual accolades, Thomas helped bring the Chiefs back to relevance. Kansas City was a perennial playoff contender throughout the 90s, thanks in large part to his leadership and relentless motor on defense. By the time his career was winding down, he'd accumulated 126.5 career sacks, becoming one of the most feared pass rushers the league had ever seen. And as dominant as he was on the field, Thomas was just as impactful off of it. He was known for his generosity, founding the Third and Long Foundation, which provided educational support and opportunities for underprivileged kids. He embraced his role as a leader, not just for the Chiefs, but in the community as well. But in February of 2000, his life took an unexpected turn. After being involved in an accident that left him hospitalized and paralyzed, he remained in recovery for weeks. Just when it seemed he was on the road to getting better, complications arose. On February 8, 2000, the football world was stunned by the news that he'd passed away at just 33 years old. His loss was felt across the entire NFL. Teammates, coaches, and fans mourned not just the player, but the man who had given so much to the game and the community. The Chiefs honored his legacy by retiring his number 58, ensuring that his contributions would never be forgotten. Though his career was cut short, Derrick Thomas's influence on the game remains undeniable. His playing style helped shape the modern edge rusher, inspiring the next generation of sack artists. Players like Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and Micah Parsons have all followed in Thomas's footsteps. In 2009, nearly a decade after his passing, he received the honor that had long been expected: induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was a moment of recognition for a career that, though cut short, burned as bright as anyone's. Derrick Thomas may have been taken far too soon, but his impact on the NFL will never fade. His records, his influence, and his relentless spirit live on in every dominant pass rusher who lines up with the goal of tormenting quarterbacks just like he did. Walter Payton. Few names in NFL history command the same level of admiration and respect as Walter Payton. He's arguably the greatest running back of all time. His legendary career with the Bears redefined what it meant to be a workhorse running back, but his influence stretched far beyond the football field, though sadly his time was cut short. Walter Payton's journey to football immortality began in Columbia, Mississippi. A standout athlete from an early age, Payton didn't start playing organized football until high school, yet his natural talent was undeniable. He attended Jackson State University, where he dominated, rushing for over 3,500 yards in his college career before becoming a first-round pick in the 1975 draft, when the Bears selected him 4th overall. Payton wasted no time establishing himself as the engine of the Bears' offense. He ran with a relentless style, never stepping out of bounds, always fighting for extra yards. One of his most famous performances came in 1977, when he rushed for 275 yards in a single game, an NFL record at the time. That same season, he was named the league's MVP after rushing for over 1,800 yards and 14 touchdowns. Beyond the numbers, Payton was the ultimate teammate. He played in 178 consecutive games, rarely missing a snap despite taking more punishment than just about anyone else in the league. He led the Bears through tough years before finally reaching the pinnacle of football, winning Super Bowl 20 in 1985. While he shockingly didn't score a touchdown in that game, his presence was invaluable to Chicago's dominance that season. By the time he retired after the 1987 season, he'd set the all-time rushing record with 16,726 yards, a mark that stood until Emmitt Smith surpassed it in 2002. Off the field, Walter Payton was as beloved as he was on it. His infectious personality, sense of humor, and kindness made him a fan favorite. He was a natural entertainer, known for his pranks and lighthearted approach to life. But behind the scenes, he was also deeply committed to helping others. He was active in charity work throughout his career, and after retiring, he dedicated himself even more to giving back. His biggest impact came through the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, which continues to honor NFL players who demonstrate excellence both on and off the field. However, in 1998, Payton shocked the football world when he revealed he was battling a rare liver disease. The news sent waves of emotion through the sports world, as fans, teammates, and rivals rallied around him. Despite his declining health, he handled the situation with grace and courage, using his platform to raise awareness for organ donation. On November 1st, 1999, at just 46 years old, Walter Payton passed away, leaving behind a legacy that extended far beyond football. His passing was felt across the world, with tributes pouring in from players, coaches, and fans who'd been inspired by his career and his character. More than 2 decades later, Walter Payton's legacy still shines. His playing style influenced generations of running backs, and his name remains synonymous with excellence. Walter Payton was a once-in-a-lifetime figure who embodied what it meant to be great in every sense of the word. Steve McNair. Steve McNair is technically not a Hall of Famer, but he was the definition of toughness at quarterback. Throughout his career, he took punishment that would have sidelined most signal callers, yet he always found a way to get back up. He was a skilled passer and rusher, as well as a competitor and the heart of the Tennessee Titans in the late 90s and early 2000s. His legacy as one of the toughest quarterbacks in football history remains strong, but his story ended far too soon. Steve McNair's road to NFL greatness was anything but conventional. Unlike most top quarterbacks, he didn't play at a major college powerhouse. Instead, he put Alcorn State University, a small HBCU in Mississippi, on the map. At Alcorn State, McNair put up video game numbers, throwing for over 14,000 yards and 119 touchdowns, while also rushing for nearly 2,300 yards and 33 touchdowns. His ability to dominate both through the air and on the ground earned him the nickname Air McNair. By the time his college career ended, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist, something almost unheard of for a player outside of the major conferences. Therefore, the Houston Oilers, later the Tennessee Titans, selected McNair with the 3rd overall pick in the 1995 draft, making him the highest drafted black quarterback ever at the time. Though he started his career as a backup, it wasn't long before he took over as the face of the franchise. Once McNair became the Titans' full-time starter, he proved he was one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league, and had a Warriors mindset to go with it. He played through countless injuries, often refusing to leave the field despite broken ribs, sprained ankles, and other ailments that would have sidelined most players. One of the highlights of his career came in 1999 when he led the Titans to Super Bowl 34. That season was full of magical moments, including the famous Music City Miracle in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, McNair played one of the toughest games of his career, keeping Tennessee alive until the final seconds. He led a dramatic final drive that came 1 yard short of forcing overtime, one of the most heartbreaking finishes in Super Bowl history. Despite the loss, McNair's grit and leadership cemented his reputation as one of the most respected quarterbacks in the league. Over the next few years, he continued to play at a high level, and in 2003, he was named NFL co-MVP alongside Peyton Manning, an incredible accomplishment considering he fought through calf and ankle injuries that season. After 11 seasons with the Titans, McNair was traded to the Baltimore Ravens in 2006, where he led them to a 13-3 record in his first year. But by 2007, the injuries had taken their toll. His body was breaking down, and after that season, he decided to step away from the game. McNair finished his career with over 31,000 passing yards, 174 passing touchdowns, and nearly 3,600 rushing yards, making him one of the most dynamic quarterbacks of his era. His toughness, leadership, and ability to elevate his teammates left a lasting legacy, especially for the Titans. But on July 4th, 2009, the football world was stunned by the news that McNair had passed away at just 36 years old. His loss was felt deeply across the NFL, particularly in Tennessee, where he had become one of the most beloved athletes in the state's history. Steve McNair's passing remains surrounded by unanswered questions and speculation. While the official investigation concluded it was a tragic incident involving someone close to him, many believe there are lingering details that don't quite add up. Over the years, various theories have emerged, with some questioning the full story behind what happened. Despite the speculation, what remains undeniable is McNair's impact on the game and the legacy he left behind. Even today, the trail he blazed is evident. He paved the way for the next generation of mobile quarterbacks and remains an inspiration to those who value toughness. He was a warrior, a leader, and a role model for many. Though his time was cut short, the legend of Air McNair will never fade. Reggie White. Reggie White was not only one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history, he was a larger-than-life figure whose impact stretched beyond the football field. Known as the Minister of Defense, White combined raw power, speed, and technique in a way the NFL had never seen before. He dominated offensive linemen, racked up sacks at an unprecedented rate, and led with both his play and his character. His legacy as a football legend is undeniable, but his life was cut short far too soon. White's football journey began in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he made a name for himself as a dominant high school player. He carried that talent to the University of Tennessee, where he punished SEC quarterbacks. By the time he finished his college career, White had racked up 32 sacks, an astonishing number for a player who often faced double and triple teams. His blend of size, strength, and athleticism made him one of the most sought-after defensive prospects in years. But before he ever stepped onto an NFL field, White took an unconventional detour, playing his first professional season in the USFL with the Memphis Showboats in 1984. When the league folded, the Philadelphia Eagles bought out White's contract, and from that moment on, the league had no answer for him. From the time he arrived in the NFL, he was elite. In his rookie season, despite playing in only 13 games, he recorded 13 sacks, immediately establishing himself as one of the league's most dominant pass rushers. Over the next 8 seasons with the Eagles, he was the best pass rusher in the NFL, finishing his time in Philadelphia with 124 sacks, the most in franchise history. And in 1993, he made one of the most impactful free agent moves in NFL history, signing with the Green Bay Packers. His presence immediately turned the Packers into Super Bowl contenders. In Super Bowl 31, White delivered a championship performance, recording 3 sacks against the New England Patriots and helping Green Bay win its first title since the Vince Lombardi era. By the time he retired, White had accumulated 198 career sacks, which stood as the NFL record until Bruce Smith surpassed him. He was a 13-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and a Super Bowl champion. What made White even more beloved was who he was off the field. He was an ordained minister, which led to his famous nickname, the Minister of Defense. He used his platform to speak about his faith, advocate for social change, and engage in community outreach. His leadership extended far beyond the locker room, as he was deeply involved in charity work and was known for mentoring younger players. Even as he stepped away from football, White remained a respected voice in the sports world. But just a few years into his retirement, tragedy struck. On December 26, 2004, White passed away unexpectedly at the age of 43 due to complications from a heart condition. The news sent shockwaves through the NFL community. Players, coaches, and fans mourned the loss of not just one of the greatest defensive players of all time, but also one of the sport's most influential figures. The Eagles, Packers, and Tennessee Volunteers all retired his number, ensuring his name would never be forgotten. And in 2006, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, solidifying his place among football's immortals. Junior Seau. Some linebackers are great, and then there are linebackers like Junior Seau, a tackling machine who played the game with an intensity that few could match. His passion, leadership, and relentless style of play made him a cornerstone of the San Diego Chargers for over a decade. He was the emotional heartbeat of every team he played for, inspiring teammates and intimidating opponents. But his story took a heartbreaking turn far too soon. Junior Seau was born in Oceanside, California, as the son of Samoan immigrants. From an early age, his energy and passion for sports were obvious. He excelled at Oceanside High School, where he was a dominant force in football, basketball, and track. Despite struggling with academics early on, he earned a scholarship to the University of Southern California. At USC, Seau became a defensive standout, known for his speed, power, and ability to read plays before they developed. His collegiate dominance led the San Diego Chargers to select him with the 5th overall pick in the 1990 NFL Draft. And from the moment he arrived in the league, he was one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Seau's energy was infectious. He played every snap like it was his last, flying across the field, delivering crushing hits, and leading the Chargers' defense with unmatched intensity. His leadership was just as important as his physical skills. Teammates gravitated toward him, and coaches relied on him to set the tone. During the 1994 season, Seau had one of the greatest performances of his career, helping lead the Chargers to their first ever Super Bowl appearance. In the AFC Championship game, despite playing with an injured shoulder, he recorded 16 tackles, willing his team to victory. Though the Chargers fell short in Super Bowl 29, Seau's performance cemented his reputation as one of the league's elite players. Over his 20-year career, he earned 12 Pro Bowl selections, was a 6-time first-team All-Pro, a Defensive Player of the Year finalist multiple times, and had a reputation as one of the most respected leaders in the league. Even after leaving the Chargers in 2003, he continued to make an impact, playing for the Miami Dolphins and later the New England Patriots, where he helped the team go 16-0, and reached Super Bowl 42 in the 2007 season. Beyond his dominance on Sundays, Seau was deeply committed to his community. He founded the Junior Seau Foundation, which focused on helping at-risk youth through education, mentorship, and sports programs. His generosity and love for his hometown of San Diego made him one of the most beloved athletes the city had ever known. Despite his larger-than-life personality, Seau privately struggled in retirement. After years of playing through injuries, his body had taken significant punishment, and he dealt with lingering pain. The sudden transition from football stardom to post-career life proved difficult, something many former players have spoken about. And on May 2, 2012, at the age of 43, Seau's life came to an unexpected end. His passing broke the heart of the football world. Everyone mourned the loss of a player who had given everything to the game. In the years that followed, Seau's story became a major part of the conversation about player safety, mental health, and the long-term effects of football. His situation led to increased awareness of CTE. Despite the heartbreak of his passing, Seau's legacy lives on. In 2015, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His family accepted the award on his behalf, ensuring that his incredible contributions to football would never be forgotten. Though Junior Seau left us far too soon, his energy, passion, and leadership will forever be a part of football history. Sam Mills. Some players enter the NFL as can't-miss prospects, expected to dominate from day one. But Sam Mills was not one of them. At just 5'9", he was considered too short to play linebacker at the professional level. But what he lacked in size, he made up for with determination, heart, and an unrelenting motor. Mills became one of the greatest underdog stories in NFL history, proving that talent and toughness matter more than physical measurables. Though his life was cut short, his impact continues to be felt across the football world. Mills' football journey was anything but traditional. Coming out of Montclair State, a small Division III school in New Jersey, he was overlooked by NFL scouts. Despite an outstanding college career where he set school records for tackles, he went undrafted in 1981. NFL teams dismissed him because of his height, and after brief training camp stints with the Cleveland Browns and the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League, he found himself without a team. Most players would have walked away from the game at that point, but not Sam Mills. Instead, he took a chance with the upstart United States Football League, where he signed with the Philadelphia Stars. And that decision changed everything. Mills dominated the USFL, becoming a key piece of the league's best defense and leading his team to back-to-back championships. He and Reggie White are considered the two best defensive players in the history of the USFL. Mills' performance drew the love of his coach Jim Mora, who became the head coach of the New Orleans Saints and brought Mills with him to the NFL in 1986. But even with a second chance, Mills, now a 27-year-old NFL rookie, still had to prove himself. But it didn't take long. He immediately showed he belonged. His instincts, toughness, and leadership turned the New Orleans Saints defense into one of the most feared units in the league. He became a leader of the legendary linebacker corps known as the Dome Patrol. Together, they made the Saints defense elite. Despite being overlooked early in his career, Mills earned 5 Pro Bowl selections, racked up 7 seasons of 100 tackles, and had a reputation as one of the smartest and toughest linebackers of his era. After 9 seasons in New Orleans, Mills signed with the expansion Carolina Panthers in 1995. Many believed his best years were behind him, but instead, he became the heart and soul of the young franchise. In 1996, at age 37, he played a key role in leading the Panthers to the NFC Championship game in just their second season. He was legitimately playing the best football of his career, making an All-Pro team and finishing top 4 in Defensive Player of the Year voting 2 years in a row. Mills retired in 1997 but remained with the Panthers as an assistant coach. In 2003, Carolina made an improbable run to Super Bowl 38. But before that season began, Mills was facing his toughest battle yet. He had been diagnosed with cancer. Doctors told him he only had months to live, but just as he had done his entire career, he fought. Before a playoff game against the Dallas Cowboys, Mills delivered a speech that would define the Panthers' identity for decades to come, saying when he found out he had cancer, there were two things he could do: quit or keep pounding. And he chose to keep pounding. That phrase became the Panthers' mantra. It wasn't just about football anymore. It became a rallying cry for perseverance, resilience, and never backing down from a fight. Mills continued coaching through the 2003 season, refusing to let his condition stop him from doing what he loved. He passed away on April 18, 2005, at age 45, leaving behind an unforgettable legacy. The Panthers honored him in every way possible. He's the only player in franchise history with a retired jersey number. His statue stands outside their stadium as a tribute to his leadership and impact. And the Keep Pounding drum is now a staple at every Panthers home game, a symbol of his lasting influence. Finally, in 2022, Mills was given football's highest honor, induction into the Hall of Fame. It was the ultimate recognition for a player who had to fight for every opportunity he got. Sam Mills proved that the biggest hearts belong to those who were counted out the most. If you love NFL mini docs, click this playlist to watch more now, and subscribe for more NFL content.